You ever put a Chevy motor in?
No, just like probably I think my first time.
So we're popping your cherry on a Chevy motor?
Jump in this thing and see what it'll do. Ready to rock this, bro? Oh, hell yeah.
Man, look at the old timing chain. Can do the wave with it. Look at that. Sloppy. But the rest of this engine is so freaking clean. Look at this. I just wonder what the bearings are going to show me, what camshaft looks like. So, gonna find out here in a minute. So the little old 283 is in great shape. I hardly have to do any machine work to it. Really, the only thing it needs is it needs a thorough cleaning. So like the inside of the block, it was all just black, grungy water and slime coming out of it, and it's got rust in the ports. Just because this thing sat for a long time. It's not like terminal rust. It's more like just like the soft rust. So I think a good hot tank and maybe dip it so it cleans all that shit out. And then it does need a hone. Like there's zero ridge. There's no ridge there at all, but I don't really see any hash marks on the cylinder walls. So I'm gonna hone it. I'm gonna deck it. Just because I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and deck that. You know, it'll microscopically raise the compression a little bit. So yeah, gonna get this thing all cleaned up and ready to assemble. The pistons were in great shape. The crankshaft's in great shape. It doesn't need, really, it doesn't even need polishing. I can't feel anything with my fingernail, so it all feels great. So actually, you know what? That one there has a little bit of scratching. Maybe I'll polish it. Yeah. So I'll take the crankshaft down with me. I'll just get it polished just because it's already out. So that's all good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and load up all these goodies into patina, so that way I can take them down and get all the suspension parts blasted and powder coated. The engine parts, I'm just gonna get those blasted. Actually, the manifolds, I am gonna get ceramic coated, the titanium color, so they always stay nice and pretty looking. Plus, it'll drop down under hood temperatures. I don't know why it was hard to say that for a second. Anyways, just gonna blast the valve covers, the intake manifold. I am gonna powder coat the fan shroud. So everything here, I'm gonna blast and powder coat, because yes, I can get it blasted and then bring it home and paint it, but the time I would spend to epoxy and prep and paint and hang and all that crap, they can do all that stuff, and then when it's done, I just pick it up and I can bolt it on. So I'm saving a lot of time by just getting all this blasted and powder coated. Plus it'll be more durable. So anyways, load all that crap up in the trunk of patina, and I'm going to use this to run my errands today. I'm even going to take the engine block downtown in patina, because patina's got AC and it's starting to get hot here. It's supposed to be like 103 today. So patina is a daily. It will get used as one. Huh, patina? It's probably saying, yeah, screw you. Just to get everybody caught up on what's going on with the Chevelle, I got the transmission out front. We just power washed that because it was pretty dirty, oily, greasy, grimy. Same with the front clip on this car. I had to remove the inner fender because the heater core was leaking, and I know that because I kind of remember my dad saying something about it years ago, and then he had the heater core lines bypassed, or he had them coupled together. So usually that means it was leaking. And then if you look at the floorboard, see, I got the heater core out, or I got the AC unit out of the dash, but you can see all that kind of scaly rust right there. That's because it was leaking. All right, so that's what I'm dealing with right now. Kind of in the middle of just waiting on parts. Actually, I do have parts that showed up. I've got all kinds of suspension goodies. Got some other knickknacks and doodads, and I've even got some of the stuff for the engine that has showed up. And the machine shop called me, and when I thought I was going to be able to reuse the original pistons and all that, they were like, you can, but the bore's like 3/1000 out of round on a few cylinders, which happens to be the ones I didn't check, you know. And they were like, well, you just might get piston slap. And I'm like, yeah, just go ahead and put new pistons in it. So the Chevelle's now 20 thousandths over. I don't even know what that is cubic inch wise. Does it really matter? Because it's like 200 and something horsepower anyway. But I've got my new camshaft. I've got my bearings. I've got my oil pump, my timing chain. I got a high flow water pump. So I got some goodies that is showing up for the Chevelle. I'm just waiting on the block. I got to go back and get that. Maybe tomorrow. All right. So right now I'm just kind of doing some things to get it all ready for the engine to go back in it, which is replacing the heater core, getting all that put back together. And it looks like someone has touched up some orange rattle can on the engine at one point because the firewall's got some orange overspray. All right, we got the pressure washer ready. We've got it all douched with engine degreaser. Time to spray it. Oh yeah, air conditioning. I have learned as you get older, you start to appreciate air conditioning a little bit more. Also power windows. This car, however, is not a power window car, but actually that's the wrong, yeah, no, that's the window crank. Okay, see, I keep forgetting this is not a Mopar, so I'm having to like learn everything. And one of the things I'm gonna have to learn is how to put this back together. I took it apart and I did take pictures, so I'm gonna have to go through and look at my pictures. But see, the reason I pulled it apart is the heater core was leaking, and this thing is heavy. So I kind of feel better now that not only am I fixing the heater and the AC, but I am doing a lightweight racing mod. The new heater core is like 1/3 of the weight. So at least this is telling me this is all worth it because this is so light performance gain. Is it worth it? No, but it'll have a functional heater, functional AC, and now I got to figure out all this gasket mess. Ooh, I think I see directions. Please. Kinda. Okay, that at least tells me something. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and attempt to put this all together, and I'll see you in a little bit. Alright, just because I'm keeping it stock looking doesn't mean I have to keep the stock horsepowers. We did a few little upgrades to the motor, including the aluminum heads and the cam, and we got slightly bigger pistons, 20 over. And this little 2-barrel Rochester right here seriously has some flow restriction to it. So I'm just going to do a couple little porting tricks to try and increase the signal at the booster, which is also going to create more airflow. And maybe after like 30 minutes worth of work, I will pick up like 4 horsepower. But it's free horsepower, so I'll spend 30 minutes to do it, and then I'll finish rebuilding the carburetor, assemble it, and then that part is done. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this done so I can move on back to putting all the suspension on to the Chevelle. I got the steering box mounted, I got the drag link and the idler arm. I did that late last night. Nothing super special or fancy about it, so I'll show you that in a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and work on this so I can get back to that. Okay, I admit, I'm kind of a dummy. I'm spending way too much time on this, but I keep finding little areas I can improve on. So, let me show you one of the things I have done so far. All right, so that is the stock butterfly. You can see it has the screws, and it has a complete shaft top and bottom. This one, I have removed I have cut off the screws to the bottom, and I have cut a groove in between the screws on the shaft to try and get a tiny bit more airflow there, which that's kind of a trick we have done that the Circle Track stuff guys do, because we're trying to squeeze as much power through a 200 or through a 500 CFM 2 barrel. Okay, this side. This is a stock uncut on this side. Let's see if we can switch over here. You can see there's a lot of disruption in the air. Whoop, I lost my. There we go. There's a lot of disruption in the airflow to the Venturi on the inside. This side here, we have freed up some airflow to the bottom side, to the inside of the Venturi. So just kind of radius some corners, rounded some things, narrowed around it, radius the top of it, just trying to improve airflow to the low side. Actually not the low side, but the inside of the Venturi. So if we throw that right there, stick that up in here, you'll see I have much more air going to the inside of that booster versus this side. That's just, if the airflow is kind of cut off on the inside, I've also added some radius there. Here's probably the biggest gain I think I'm gonna get. See, we'll go ahead and pull this guy out for now so you can actually see. All right, so that side is pretty much stock. This side, you can see it's kind of hogged out and radiused because I have, the top side of this is round. There's no way around it. But what I have done is I have hogged out the inside, radiused it, versus that side. See, that's stock, that's all hogged out. So then as the airflow comes through the only opening, it can actually access the outside of the Venturi a little better. See, this side here, I can't see it. This side there is kind of cut off by that sheer wall in there. But that side, look at all that extra flow we get. No good? Good. All the airflow I can improve on the top is gonna put a better signal on the Venturi here and help with airflow. Because the engine's gonna be a little bit stronger. So the more air that can flow through the factory 2 barrel, the more air that's gonna get in the cylinder and make a bigger kaboom. So, just little things I'm trying to do. This, I mean, all of this may add what? I'm hoping for 10 now that I've done all this extra work, but you never know. Because I have done some dyno testing with carburetor stuff to the tire, and I have seen 8 horsepower to the tire by doing all this little kind of trickery airflow stuff. So, and that was on a 500 CFM 2 barrel. So if I can get 8 out of this, hell, that's actually a pretty good percentage over it did stock. All right, well, I'm gonna finish the other sides of everything I've done here, and that'll be it for the carburetor, then I can put it together. Isn't it just all pretty and new looking now that they're all powder coated, got all my bushings pressed in and everything now? So now I can go ahead and put all of this back in the Chevelle. I even took the time and wire wheeled all my bolts and my nuts and clear coated them, just so when I put stuff back in, it'll be all pretty. I figure every time I touch a certain part of the car, at least make it look better than it did. So, control arms are in. I went ahead and got the drag link in with my idler arm. I went ahead and got the steering box back in. So, rear control arms and front control arms, get that done. I still don't have any front brakes yet, so I don't want to put the drums back on it. So I'm gonna try and find something I can use as an upgraded disc brake kit. It's a Chevelle. I want disc brakes. I'm sure there's bazillions of companies that have upgraded parts for that. So, in you go. to assemble the 283. This little bitty powerhouse right here, which is going to stay a little bitty powerhouse. Actually, I know I lied. It's now 20 thousandths over. Massive, right? But I've got everything ready for it, so I'm going to start assembling the short block. I still am not 100% on what I'm going to do with the cylinder heads. I kind of want to just buy a set of aftermarket heads I can just drop on it and be done. Because to rebuild the stock heads, it's like 600 bucks. And they're stock heads. Or just getting like a little bit of a performance head that'll drop on there, bump the compression up, flow better, and put a little bit of more vacuum on them tiny little butterflies under that two barrel. So I'm gonna go ahead and start assembling this. I'm gonna check all my bearing clearances. So should be able to bolt all my main caps on it, check my clearances. Then once those are all good, I'll put the crank in it, and I'll start putting rods and pistons, check all those clearances. I'm hoping I don't have to cut piston rings. I think they'll probably just be drop-in ready, but I'm gonna double check them anyway. So for probably the next couple hours, I'm gonna be assembling this little doohickey right here to go into that guy right there. All right, Pops, time to build your motor again. This motor was rebuilt like 1990, so 20, holy crap, that's like 32 years ago. The little hamster wheel had to go in my head, so I was like, okay, yeah, 5 plus 4, 10, da da da. So yeah, 32 years. All right, here we go. So Walter doesn't come over here that much anymore because he now lives on the other side of town. Walter's gonna help me put the rear suspension all together, and we're gonna pull the axles out and do the brakes on this thing while I'm doing some other stuff. Oh, here comes Bolt. Come here, Bolt.
Couldn't believe something
Get your head shot.
big was inside his little head.
There you go. So what do you think, Walt? Not too bad, huh?
Where's the other rubber pieces?
There what? Bolt, you're hogging the camera. There wasn't any rubbers on the bottom. I think it was only on the top. Because if you look at the perch, there was no signs of a rubber being there.
All right.
So.
Oh, you're gonna give kisses?
Was important to me was knowing that anything.
Yeah. So you put rubbers on both sides. Yeah. If you look at this, there was no signs of a rubber ever being there. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna have Walter drop the gas tank, do the suspension. We're gonna pull the axles out so we can put new seals on that. And because we have to pull the axles just so we can get to the seals, because we have to pull the diff cover because this is a stupid GM car that has C-clips to hold the axles in. So, well, I'm gonna let Walter tackle that while I'm doing some other stuff. So upon pulling the axles, we found out that last time this car had been driven, it had like, what do you think, Walt? Like a pint of oil in the rear end?
Covers a ring and pinion.
Yeah, it had like a pint of oil in it, and so one of the actually the driver's side axle bearing got destroyed, which then killed the axle. So, but luckily, my buddies at Dan's Driveline had this sitting at the shop. So we got a brand new axle, new bearing, new seal, and we got new seals for the other side, new differential cover, new pinion seal, and we're cleaning up the backing plate for the brakes. So that's getting all prettified when it came off looking like that. So just doing some work to the rear axle, make it all pretty and new again, except for that whole housing itself. That's gonna stay ugly and crappy because I don't feel like pulling it out and spending the money to get it blasted and powder coated. So we're gonna do what we can with what we got and put this guy in. First, I gotta pull that bearing out. That one's junk. Where's the slide hammer at, Walt? Oh, I see it. Ow. Yep, just as I thought. That axle bearing's got some grooves and some nicks in the needles. No buenos. Time for the new one. And here comes the scary part about working on a GM car. Compressing the coil spring onto the control arm to get it up into the frame rail. This is the part that can go seriously wrong. But I have done it before and I'll do it again. And I've even, look at this, I even touched up a little cut mark with some paint. It's like professional right there. Oh wait, that looks shiny. There you go, there you go, now you can tell it's painted. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy in there. I went ahead, I got the tool to compress it. So cinch it down, suck it up, put it up there, and make sure I line up all the detents for the pigtail on the coil spring. So there's one here, and there's also one up in there. So I was like, I'm gonna set the spring in there so it actually kind of curls it in this way. There's a way you can, so if you put the all thread closer to the inside of the control arm, and also if you pull the ears on the, well, I don't know what part you call that, but these ears here, if you pull those also to the inside of the coil spring, that will actually kind of arch it in, so when you lift it up, it'll just fall in place. And if you need to, I got my handy dandy pry bar right here to make it fit. All right, time to make things happen because it's late. I need to wash my ass and go to bed. Huh, Bolt? I heard you over there. Yeah, you tell them. Alright, well, kind of at a standstill. I'm still waiting on the cylinder heads, so that's been a few weeks now before I can finish putting the 283, actually what? The Performance 283 in the Chevelle. I'm just going to end up putting the Power Glide back in it to kind of simplify things because this has gotten kind of pricey. So Power Glide, it is, back to the 283. But at least it'll have more oomph to push that Power Glide down the road. See, we got a new master cylinder installed. I got my heater core installed. I got all the front suspension, the steering, that's all installed. Let's get a better look at it. Actually, and this is not new. See, I didn't want to put Chinese parts on this thing, or at least try not to. So these are the original upper control arms that I had blasted and powder coated, and I put pressed new bushings on them. These are the original lower control arms. Same thing, blasted, powder coated. These are the original springs, blasted, powder coated. I have Coney shocks on it, which, yes, I know, but I have all Moog steering and suspension components for the car too. Let's see. Show us the way, Bolt. What's up? There we go. Point it out to us. All right, so I got the AC. That's all thermal. I still got the insulation on the firewall. We got our AC box back in. That's all rebuilt, ready to go. A little bit of here on the kick panel. All right, but I'm still waiting. So I got some more pieces now, but just waiting to do a few more things interior. I'm gonna put new carpet. I'm gonna get the seat reupholstered because the seat's kind of chewed up. So come on, Bolt. It's too hot in there for you. You big dummy. Bolt, come on. Come on, buddy. He's like, no, I want to go. Oh yeah, rear suspension. So got the rear suspension all rebuilt, blasted, powder coated, new bushings, new shocks, all new rear brakes. I got one new axle on the driver's side because that axle was messed up and it chewed up the bearing. See, we replaced all the gear oil, put new seals in it, both sides, put a new pinion seal on it. So the only thing left to do under the ass end of the car is the gas tank. So I got a new sending unit I'm gonna put on it, and then we're gonna drop the tank and kind of flush it out. So all of that's good to go. I still got a bunch of parts to install. But look, I went and picked up my Rally trim rings and caps for the Rally wheels that I got. But, yep, kind of a standstill at the moment. So, this is where I'm going to leave it off right now. But next time, I will pick it up because I will then have these cylinder heads for this 283 right here. So, we go ahead and bag and tag it, push it out of the way, and hit the road. Because I got another episode of Roadkill to film. Alright. Well, see you guys next time. Stay. Not you, Bolt. You can come. Come on, Bolt. Just laying down a tack coat. Looking good. Yep. Now that these are all painted, I like this Pour 15 engine paint because the engine actually ends up feeling like porcelain after it dries. It just feels so smooth, and it's brake cleaner, gasoline resistant, all that crap. So this is much more durable than that out of the can VHT engine paint. Way better. So now that these are painted, I can now bolt them to the block. So go ahead and get this uncovered. Lay down my gaskets. I need to clean these up because these still kind of have like the oily residue on the bottom from shipping. So clean these up, get them mated to there, torque them all down, and then I can start bolting all my accessories and all that crap on it. I've got like a box of all powder coated accessories ready to go on this thing. So yep, wipe, clean, prep, bolt, accessorize. Actually kind of sounded good. All right.
You gotta trust the bird. And then you jump over the bush. I'm gonna jump this bush.
Well, got my first snag here. I can't use the original head bolts because the pockets that they give me for the head, for these casting heads give me for the head bolts, I can't even get a socket over it, so can't use those. But luckily, I've got a set of looks like head studs and head bolts here from, I don't even know what they are. That's obviously small box Chevy, so I'm assuming this is old circle track stuff. So I'm just gonna have to use this stuff because that'll fit. So this is the point when all those pictures I took of the car before I tore it apart, like the engine bay and everything, comes in handy. Is all the accessories and figuring out how everything figuring out where everything went, like the wire looms, the special bolts, like that one needs to go there because where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Because then this bracket goes there, but then I'm like, well, hell, there's too big of a gap there, so I have to look at my pictures and realize, oh, there's a spacer that went there, that one. So, yeah, but look at the motor. Isn't it coming together like all pretty? Look at that. I like contrast, like the difference in colors and different metal materials that you see on an engine when you're putting it together. I know a lot of guys just assemble it and it'll like blow and go orange, but I don't know. I like the contrast of all the hardware and the different materials, like the stainless and cast iron. Like I had the exhaust manifold ceramic coated cast iron color, so that way they look all pretty. And it's a ceramic barrier too, so it'll help. Get them, Bolt. Who's out there? Who is it, huh? Here, get down. Get down. So, yep. Anyway, it's gonna be an assembly process figuring out where all these brackets go. trying to get this whole thing back together. The intake manifold I'm going to be picking up off of OfferUp. So just so happened to be, I think I said it earlier, there was somebody that had the intake manifold I wanted, an old Elbrock C4B. So we're going to put that on here because that still has the provision for the filler tube for the oil, or the oil fill tube, and it'll fit these runners and it'll be a good intake. I just got to put a 2-barrel adapter on it, which, yeah, I know, but I want to still run the original 2-barrel with the air cleaner and all that. It's not a race car, so it'll be just fine. All right, well, time to assemble everything. Next time you see it, hopefully it'll have all the brackets and accessories on it. I'm hoping. All right, I think I kind of got it figured out. This is where the AC brackets all go. We got the alternator brackets on. This is the slot for the power steering. Derek is actually pressure washing the power steering pump and the brackets. We'll just fog that with some satin black real quick. I still don't have my intake manifold yet. I was supposed to pick that up yesterday, but the guy postponed. So hopefully I'll have the intake manifold today. But what I can do is, ooh, it's all like, oof. I just want to bomb the firewall satin black just so it's all pretty looking. Just because, I don't know, it's there, the engine's out of it. Might as well just bomb it real quick. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So then we can start mating the engine to the transmission and get the engine and transmission in the car so it's kind of out of the way. Hang on. Hold it. Going in, Derek.
Yeah. Remember when we took it out, man? It was.
You ever put a Chevy motor in?
No. This is like I think my first time.
So we're popping your cherry on a Chevy motor?
I've done only Mopars, dude. It's all if I've done, even though I own a Chevy, but
I got dinner waiting for me. Bam! Told you, daylight looks so much better. You see all the contrast between the nuts, the bolts, the different colors and the metals and everything. It looks good in there. Plus that touched up painted firewall looks good. I'm actually going to be working on the intake. I've decided I want to keep it old school, and so I'm going to be using the Elbrock C4B. So